Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I'm a lifetime Seminole fan.
I am Chris, and I'm a baffled Gator fan.
We're putting aside our differences as rivals. They're bringing you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. Not so great of a recap today. It's going to be a little bit of crying in our drinks, I think. But we'll start off. Neither Florida State nor Florida were victorious this weekend. But as always, Chris, I bow to you first, and I will let you explain what you saw to me in Jacksonville, where Florida faced off against the Georgia Bulldogs.
You mean got housed by the Georgia Bulldogs?
Wow.
Yeah, the Gators lose by the number one team, 34-7, and this, I mean, the final score was probably what a lot of people thought it would be, give or take a few points. How you got there, though, just, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, because we came out pretty good, especially our defense. We hung with them. Georgia probably played one of their worst games overall, but they played a bad game and still won by, 27 points?
Right.
I mean, this Georgia team is really good. I think, like I said before in our previous podcast, I think they're the most complete team from top to bottom, and they showed it. They showed it this game against Florida. We're not that good, and we've got some good things, and then we got some bad things, and we just got rolled. We played them well. I think overall we played them well. Except for about 2 minutes, there's a 2 minute stretch there where it was just laughable. We played pretty good the first quarter. We played pretty good most of the second quarter. Mm-hmm. We even played pretty decent overall in the second half. But there was a 2 minute stretch there that was it wasn't good, Brandon. It wasn't good. It was a comedy of errors in that, and. Overall, we played well, but last time I checked, and you can correct me on this, you have to every second of the game counts, right? Including the last 2 minutes of the second quarter. That still counts?
Yeah, it counts.
Yeah, okay. So because it counts, and because they scored 21 points in those 2 minutes, Florida gets rolled. And we were going into halftime down 24-0. At that point of the game, it's 2 minutes left. You're down 3-0 against the number one team in the country, your big rival. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. You're feeling pretty good, and then just the wheels fell off. We had a momentary lapse of reason there, and turnover resulting in a touchdown, turnover resulting in a touchdown, turnover directly resulting in a touchdown. And it was just – that was it. That was the game right there. Those 2 minutes were just – that was the game. That was our season. Just we have some potential, feel pretty good about ourselves, and just the wheels fell off. So I don't know. It was just kind of – that was our season, and that makes sense that we lose 34-7. 3 turnovers resulting in 3 touchdowns for – Georgia. We outgained them. I think we had more time of possession. The defense played well. The defense, I think we tied in turnovers 3-3, I believe, and yet we lost by 27. That's why I'm baffled, because you see this with the Florida Gators. You see this across college football. I think more so than most seasons, where just because you outgain a team and just because you check a lot of boxes statistically does not mean you're going to win.
Yep.
And I think we had the same amount of turnovers, but what they did with the turnovers was the difference in the game. I think they put points up with their turnovers, and we didn't. We squandered our opportunities when it came to that. So we did good in that aspect, but, I mean, that's why they're the number one team. And I think, I mean, barring a big choke, I think they're going to win the national championship. I mean, from what I'm seeing, but Georgia is Georgia, so we'll see what happens with them. But right. I went over the big negative was that 2 minute stretch there. I'll go for the negatives and then positives. Offensive, just unproductive, mainly because Anthony Richardson it's his first start, and he looked like a redshirt freshman. There are times in the season where he looked phenomenal, but in this game he didn't. And he reminds me of my 4-year-old son. You want to know why he reminds me of my 4-year-old son?
Oh, please.
Okay. My son, I'm going to brag a little bit on him. He is, for a 4-year-old, pretty smart. His brain is like a sponge, right? You'll tell him something a couple times and it's locked in. And he knows his alphabet, his colors. He can count to. I mean, he sat down and counted to 200 one day, and I had to stop him there because he was going to keep going. I mean, this kid's pretty smart, right? And I'm like, wow. I mean, this. You start getting that pride, that sense of pride in you, right? You're like comparing him to other kids. Like, okay, my he's a genius. And then he has those moments where he doesn't have the same toy his sister does and has a complete meltdown. That's just it reminds you, oh yeah, you're still a 4-year-old. You still have the maturity of a 4-year-old. Although in some areas you are 6, 7-year-old, right? Uh-huh. But emotionally, still that 4-year-old. I think this is where we see Anthony Richardson. Sometimes we see those times where he just can outrun people and literally hurdle over people. And then this game, you're like, oh yeah, he's still a redshirt freshman. This is still the number 1 team in the country. Gotcha. Still a historic defense, and it kind of brings you down to earth and humbles you a little bit. And that's what you saw with him. I think it's as good for him in the future, because I don't know how many times you're going to face a defense like that. So if he can get past that and rally from that, I think it's really good. But man, this game, he just, I don't know. It was a little bit too much for him. But this is what the fans wanted. This is what I wanted to start. Richardson, you had that hope. I mean, you can't go back and see if Jones was going to do anything better. I don't know. But Richardson comes in. It was a little bit too much for him. He throws 2 picks, fumbled the ball, and end up leaving in the third quarter with a concussion. So I think it was still the right move. You had to do something different. You had to try it at least. So we tried. Didn't work. Another thing that has been bothering us all year, and it crept up again, was the special teams woes. I mean, 2 missed field goals. I mean, you had a chance to – I think they missed a field goal, and we go down and chance for a lead. Even though it's 3-0, a chance for a lead, and you miss a field goal. You miss another one. Even when we scored that touchdown late, we had a bad kickoff, that onside, just a real bad onside kick attempt, which they quickly turned into more points. So special teams letting us down again. And we had chances. We had our chances. We had our opportunities. They didn't just blow us out from the gate, which I thought was going to happen. But it was just too much Georgia for the Gators this week.
Yeah, I think we probably saw this coming. Just a couple of high-level observations here. Lower scoring than I expected on both ends, really. I think I had Georgia in that range, but just the overall score, I think the over-under was 50.5. So I expected it to be closer than that. And I did think that Florida would get to double digits. And, you take one of those field goals, and that's where you are. The combined missed field goals, because we had Florida State had a rash of that, is just kind of going around, I guess. Still pretty balanced as far as the approach, but it was third down conversions. You have just 4 of 13 on the day. I had to look it up because I was like, I don't even. It was hard to recall. You can count on one hand how many times they did convert, and it was very interesting. The balance of turnovers, you really would think off of that, and that you've already kind of alluded to it. You would think you get 3 turnovers, I'm going to get at least 10 points out of that by itself, and so that's got to be a little bit disappointing. So those were kind of some of my things, some high-level observations there. I mean, everybody's going to go to the lot right before halftime when Georgia takes that huge lead, because it was decently close before that, even though you could see Georgia was outplaying.
Right.
But like you said, that doesn't always mean you're going to win the game. So that's what I took away from it.
Yeah, so you had Georgia scoring 31. I actually had them scoring 34. So I picked that.
Perfect.
But we both had Florida in the low teens.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the streak is. We've had an insane streak where we at least score points in a game, and I should have looked it up. But that I was just like, you find yourself towards the end of the game like that streak's in jeopardy. We might get blanked. I thought we were gonna, because we had every opportunity, but every time offense tried on the field, we would go one step forward, two steps back, or we wouldn't go anywhere at all. So we were able to get some points late. Yeah, so it's a head scratcher for sure. We did have some positives. Like I said, the defense was decent. Really, we have 13 points, really, that's attributed to the defense. Those 21 points they scored into the second, that's a direct result of our offense. And even you can get that last little touchdown, that bad onside kick. I mean, I said I wanted them to force turnovers. They forced 3 turnovers. Rashard Torrance, our safety, 2 picks, and I think a fumble recovery. I mean, that's awesome. That's what you want out of your defense. Just our offense let us down, and our special teams let us down. And again, 2's bigger than 1. Two faces of the game is bigger than 1, and too many times this year that's happened, and the result's not good. So I liked what I saw from Emory Jones coming in. He was pretty efficient, a little too late. Damian Pierce running the ball, hard runner. Wish we had fed him a little bit more. And we started off fast. Not fast, I should say. We started off pretty decent. Just couldn't hang with them. I mean, they're a much better team, and kudos to them. And we'll talk a little bit more about the future and going forward. So it's one of those games like, yeah, you kind of saw this coming. It's a little embarrassing at times, but you're glad it's over, honestly. You're just glad it's over.
Okay. I commend you, sir. I mean, it's not easy to talk about a game like that, so I understand your concern and your reluctancy to go into detail, but I think you did a good job, and that's sometimes what you just go in, you know what to expect, and you know why you're there, and you know the seasons you're both having, yada yada.
Yeah. We get it at this point.
Yep. I didn't have any further thoughts unless you had anything to summarize.
Good riddance.
Okay.
That's my final thought.
I would say, I mean, the good news here is Florida's schedule really turns.
Yeah.
And there's been some struggles. But I think it's fair to say at this point, Georgia's in the playoff even with a loss.
I think so too.
I don't care where the loss is.
Right. The way they're playing. And the only thing is, with one loss, unless that loss is just by 30 points, maybe. Mm-hmm. But that's not happening. So,
right.
So, Georgia's in. I think they're the favorite to win it all. And they might stumble maybe at Tennessee, but it's really going to come down to that SEC championship game. Most likely Alabama, maybe Auburn could sneak in there. Most likely Alabama. That'd be interesting to see.
Right.
But it is what it is. But the month of November does look a little bit more promising than October. I mean, we haven't won a football game in 3 weeks. It's going to be 4 weeks since we potentially could win a football game. So it's been a rough month for us, but I'm glad it's over and we can focus on November.
Yeah, rough stretch, but hungry for a win. We'll talk about it in a second, but I think you and I both agree you're going to get it. So, flipping the tables here, a team that hadn't lost a game in a month because of weird scheduling and a bye, Florida State travels up to Clemson, South Carolina, and falls to the Tigers 30-20. It was kind of a weird game, wasn't it? Just from start to finish, it just felt off. And there were a whole lot of interesting anomalies. The game ended oddly. I even have a Florida reference on how the game ended. You'll like that.
Oh, I know where you're going with this, too.
Do you? Do you want
I'll just say 06.
06 UF Auburn. You nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
I was going to bring it up, so...
Yeah, weird lateral. Chris Leak just tries to make a desperation play, and they give up a touchdown going the opposite direction. You're like, okay, well, we weren't 10 points worse, but that's what the scoreboard shows.
Right.
I'll get to that in a second, but that showed up on the stat sheet really odd also. Anyway, I'll do some opportunities and some positives. Which one do you want me to do first? I'll let you pick.
I say always get the bad out of the way.
I like it. So. Opening kickoff went out of bounds. That's a loss of 15 yards. We had a point after attempt blocked right after we scored our first touchdown, so that killed momentum. We let Shipley run all over us and look pretty proficient. The numbers weren't like gaudy. He had over 100 yards, but he got them when he needed them. Mm-hmm. We allowed a lot of gaping runs on defense. That's really what the defense is the reason we lost this game. One of those reasons is Travis Jay, one of our best talents, continues to underimpress. And actually, after he got beat for a touchdown in the end zone, I didn't really see him that much. Is it possible he got taken out? Supposed to be our best athlete, and he's been returning kicks. All of a sudden, I didn't see him anymore.
Yeah,
we had a failed fourth down attempt. I think early in the third quarter, like it or not, people are going to start questioning this kind of stuff again. If you don't make it, then it's the wrong decision. If you do, it's the right one.
Right.
This is where Florida State is, and those are the kinds of chances we have to take. Let's just get used to it, guys. This is what FSU is going to do. This one happened to fail. Didn't end up biting us because Clemson missed one of their 3 field goals after we gave that back to them. So either way, we actually forced a couple turnovers, but after one of those turnovers, we literally gave it back the next play. The secondary was constantly getting beat by the wide receivers, namely Justin Ross, since he's back and healthy. We have not been very balanced this season on defense. As the game wore on, we were overwhelmed physically late in the game. It was apparent to me about halfway through the fourth quarter that our offensive line just couldn't match up anymore, and they were just shut down. What does Brandon always say? You got to score second half points on offense, and we scored 0. So that's not going to get it done. Yep. We allowed Clemson to have their best offensive game of the season against a Power 5 team.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say about that? That's kind of what I was thinking would happen, but was in the back of my mind hoping wouldn't. And yes, Florida State late in the game, just because the offensive line was just gassed and was constantly giving up blocks and missing assignments, we actually had to punt with less than 2 minutes left and get a miracle like, hey, we need to stop them with all 3 timeouts, and we got it back with less than 20 seconds, if memory serves. Mm-hmm. And yes, the play to end the game, and I mean, after Jordan Travis fumbles the ball deep in the pocket and sets us up with like 4th and 25, the minute 40 left, or 4th and 32, whatever craziness that ended up being, I was like, we can't possibly go for that 4th down. We're basically going to lose the game right then and there. So
right.
Norvell actually made an interesting decision to punt it away, which I was looking at, the game scenario. I was like, that is actually the right decision. At least you don't lose the game right then and there. I don't know. You could argue it one way or the other, I suppose, but they'd have had it at their own 30-ish.
Yeah.
So those were the opportunities there. I think that all of the positives I'll mention in a second kind of got overshadowed by the mistakes that we made, and especially on Clemson's last drive, after we had finally taken a late lead, which I really thought, I'll be honest, locked the game in. I thought after we had scored and went up 20-17, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
There was 7.5 minutes left. Clemson's offense had not moved the ball very well for a very long time. And we gave up a stupid late hit out of bounds, which was questionable. We gave up a pass interference. We gave up a 26-yard run where a guy broke like 17,000 tackles to get in the end zone. And up to that point, I was kind of laughing at myself because we had talked about the stat that Clemson hadn't scored more than 19. Well, they got to 17, and they missed consecutive field goals, and they just couldn't. I was like, the universe doesn't want them to score more than 19. Right. It's happening. And who do they do it against? Florida State. So they finally break through.
Yeah, the thing that sticks out to me, Florida State was definitely a rushing team, and they only rushed for 65. And when you can't, get to your strength and lean into that, it's going to be tough. It really is. Defense, like you said, I was going to mention, you guys put yourself in a position to win, and when your defense needed to stop, they couldn't stop. for multiple reasons, and I bet that that is definitely absolutely frustrating. Um, yeah, I like the fight in Florida State, but when it mattered the most, they just couldn't stop. I mean, Clemson was giving them opportunities, by, like you said, not making those field goals. And what is it with kickers this year? But yeah, they just let Shipley. He looked like I don't know if he's a 5-star guy, but I haven't heard of him much this year. But they made him look really good.
Yeah, he did.
This game. And like I said, the penalties the key points of the game really, really hurt Florida State.
Yeah, back to your point about rushing. This entire season has been about running the ball, and I've been saying this since the preseason. We just have no wide receivers. Our leading. This is just sad. This number is not like, hey, we're a month into the season, Chris. We've played 8 games. These are our wide receiver stats. Ready for this? Top receiver, Ontario Wilson, 14 catches, 220 yards. 14.
Yeah.
He's not even averaging 2 a game. That's our leading wide receiver. By the way, Keyshawn Helton has 13 catches, 220 yards. They're tied. Andrew Parchment, 12 catches, 219. He's 1 yard back. At least we're balanced. I mean, we just don't run the ball. We only run the ball. Corbin only had 95 rushes for 714 yards. Trayshawn Ward 62 for 440. So it's obvious that we're not balanced at all. Mm-hmm. And in this game, Clemson knew it. And they were one of the first teams to actually not fall for our little antics, and they didn't let Travis do anything. He ended up rushing for -7 yards on the day.
When's the last time he had a game where he ended up in the negative?
Jeez. I don't know that he's ever had one, to be completely honest.
That one sticks out big time.
Yep. They basically said you're gonna throw today, and that's all you're gonna be able to do. And there were some decent passes caught downfield, but overall, completely ineffective. Mm-hmm. Toa Philly. I'll just switch to the positives now. We did have some early success going to Wilson in the wide receiver game. Corbin did get loose on the touchdown drive, and so did Ward. I think one of those rushes was 27 yards. So that drive looked very promising. Probably the highlight of the season offensively was Toa Philly's catch and run, and I'm not down, and I'm also not out of bounds, and tiptoed along the sideline to get in the end zone. I think he stepped out, by the way. But we'll let that slide because it was really, really close. So what a play. By the way, his only catch of the game was that 175-yard catch, and that was our longest play, I think, of the season. We had a long pass against Notre Dame, but I think it was only 60-something. And, where did Toa Philly go after that?
Right.
Just disappeared. So the play calling just kind of baffled me there. We did get an interception. So third quarter is where Florida State actually did make some plays to keep the game close. We picked off the quarterback DJ. I'll just call it that for short. I think it's Uigalele. Am I close on that?
I'm not even gonna. I don't even know. Okay. I'm not even gonna attempt because I'm gonna embarrass myself.
He definitely started to make some mistakes, and the biggest play, the defensive highlight of the season has to be the strip sack that ended up in a scoop and score and touchdown by Jermaine Johnson. What a play! And at the hugest moment, man, this guy's going to the NFL. He was a Georgia transfer, and he's probably our best player on the team.
Oh yeah!
What a moment for him! And then it gets completely washed down and watered down by the fact that he gets a 15-yard penalty for spiking the ball.
Yeah.
Just a little bit too flag happy there toward the end, in my opinion, but I'm not going to blame the referees. This was something I think Florida State lost on their own. Yeah, and we had some fumbles. That surprisingly kind of popped its head up. We hadn't really had turnover issues lately, but on the offense, we actually did cause some turnover, so that's good, like you were mentioning with Florida and Georgia. So I was pleased to see that happening, but this obviously when you lose the game, you're never happy, but also I thought they played really well. Clemson has had their struggles this year, but FSU showed some fight. They showed some moxie, but it wasn't enough, and I'm not happy with the result, but I can be happy to know that this team still has some shining moments, can still figure some things out, and hasn't given up. But it's never good to walk away with a loss. I'm not happy about that. I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, I'll let you share your thoughts.
Man, I picked Florida State to win, and man, they were making me look really smart at the end of the game. There, man, I thought they had it. Like when they went up with that. I mean, what a great play by Johnson. I mean,
yeah,
fantastic play at the most crucial time, and I thought it was over. I really thought it was over then. I mean, I just thought that was going to not only give them the lead, but break Clemson's will and spirit. But they just couldn't hold on to it. I like the fight. It was ugly at times, and Clemson is definitely not the Clemson that they're used to, but they're still got talent. They still got a good coach, and they were in it. They really were in it. I'm not looking at the 10-point margin there. I'm looking at the 4. To only lose by 4. I mean, obviously, you don't like the moral victories, but you got to feel better about this loss than other losses before. Making huge plays, but still making those boneheaded plays here and there. I think Clemson has a pretty good defense. They figured out, just don't let Travis run, make him pass it down the field, and it worked to Clemson's advantage. But I do like the fight that I saw out of Florida State. I've liked it for the last month. Even though don't look at the opponents, just look at Florida State. You do like that they're starting to find some kind of identity and making plays. I mean, earlier in the year they weren't making that play on defense. They weren't making that total Philly play. They just weren't in the games. You just felt like, okay, they're gonna lose here and there, and some games they were just getting waxed. But I do like the fight. Big picture. You still want to win, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they look a little bit, better than they were. And that's what you want from them every week, better than you were.
Yeah, walking away from this game, you can see it one of two ways, and both ways are correct. You can say to yourself, fluke play, Clemson scores a late touchdown, Florida State really lost by 4, which was a one-possession game, maybe even a one-play game, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
The other way you could look at it is Clemson, I'm gonna count here, was forced to punt, I think 3 times. 1. So here were their drives. Clemson punted, successful field goal, I think the only one. Missed field goal, touchdown, punt, missed field goal, interception, fumble, missed field goal, fumble, punt, touchdown, punt. So you had some success here, but how many times have Florida State really stopped Clemson? Well, just those couple of turnovers. Well, 3. Interception, fumble. Couple of punts here and there, but the missed field goals just kept Florida State in this game. So if he makes 2 of those, and then maybe you negate the last play, the score is still the same.
Okay.
What if he made all 3 and the fluke play? Then you've lost by 19.
Right. I mean, playing devil's advocate here, that Toafili, that's a fluke play, right?
Sure.
That went to the favor of Florida State. So,
yeah, we could have gotten beat down. That's a good point. Very good point.
Although, yeah. Still a good gain. It was a good chunk, but still.
Yeah. I mean, we had another PAT. That's just points off the board.
Right.
And special teams, just like Florida. I'm just like, what's going on here? I'm always a guy that says, hey, FSU is in a position where they should take a risk on special teams, and then we fumbled a kickoff against UMass, and now we're not even fielding punts anymore, and then opening kickoff goes out of bounds. That's 15 yards you're just giving the team.
Right.
And that's not a way to put your defense in good position. That defense has been struggling all year, but clearly has the talent, just has not put it together.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating to see because that's what really killed us. And you'll look back on the 20-17 lead with 7.5 minutes to go, and you're saying to yourself, everything we've done that game, we can give up some yards there, but it's not excusable to give up a score. Mm-hmm. And yet here we are again and again and again. It's hard to watch with the defense because I know that the players are there, and I know the position coaches like Odo Haggins really have the skill and constantly put together winning squads, but then overall, just so many failures and just so many mistakes in the back end.
Right. It's like when you have a flat tire and you fix that tire and you keep going, but another tire leaks. So you stop and fix that one, but the back two tires are leaking, and you can't get them all going at the same time.
Exactly.
Florida's been the same way all year.
Put it all together. And really, you could look to Florida State's season up to this point, just macro view. Really good game against Notre Dame, but you give up a lot of points and a lot of defense. And probably North Carolina's your best one. At UMass, you can throw out games for the Wolves. And Syracuse is not a great team, but they're playing better, so that's a decent game. You still give it 30. It just hasn't all clicked at the right time and all at the same game, really. Mm-hmm. So I think we're in the same boat there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. But I think I'm finished lamenting. It's not a terrible loss in my opinion, but as I look back on the season, obviously the Jacksonville State haunts us for two reasons. Number one, you lost to a Division II, but also your season and schedule looks totally different. You're 4-4 versus 3-5.
Yeah. Yep.
And FSU's got a rough November, unlike the Gators. And it's not. I think there's one game in there, probably Boston College, that is winnable, but that may be it. So I'll save some more thoughts for that when we for the preview.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So enough of that. Enough of that junk. Let's go to more junk.
Yeah.
Miami winning on the road against a ranked Pittsburgh team, 38-34.
Yeah, a game that the Hurricanes jumped up on them early.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 21-0 or 21-7 real fast in the first quarter. And they held enough lead. I mean, Pittsburgh fought back, but my goodness, the Panthers just don't know how to run the ball. They don't. Their quarterback threw 55 passes in this game for over 500 yards. They just don't run. And, I mean, that's okay and good when you're trying to score quickly and you're trying to keep the defense on their heels, but my goodness, you need a fullback like UCF's Bowser or somebody just run between the tackles every once in a while. Otherwise, you turn to a Mike Leach offense. Anyway, that was what stood out to me about this game was the fact that they constantly threw and kept themselves in it. Because Miami's defense has always looked good in flashes, but I'm giving up on saying they're a good defense anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're giving up 30 every game.
Right. Yeah, that's... come on, Manny. That's your thing.
Exactly.
But offensively, they just look different now with Van Dyke, the quarterback. And Rambo, I mean, he continues to impress. Going over 100 yards again this game. Yep. Like I said, when you're on the road, you need to start early and start fast. And they did that. Puts the pressure on the home team, puts the pressure on that ranked team. So coming out early was on fire was really, really good for them and holding on until the end there.
Indeed. Second week in a row, Miami's being a ranked team. Probably be ranked pretty soon themselves if they keep this up.
Yeah, well, they're back to 4-4 now. Yeah. Keep it up. You might.
We'll see.
But every year, Miami, just when we think we know them, we don't.
Like a pattern with a lot of the teams in Florida.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, like Florida. Like if I was a gambling man, Florida State is not a team I'd even want to touch. Like I don't know what team I'm getting. Are they going to run for 350 yards, or are they going to? Is their QB who's running quarterback lose 17 in a game? So let's have to see. But Miami, I mean, they figure some things out. You're right. Van Dyke has given them some stability that I didn't expect. Yeah. And it looks a lot different if they were able to pull out that win against Virginia, because then they would have lost only one of the last 5 or something like that. And so this is a different team than the one that nearly lost to UAB in September.
Yeah. It's so crazy. I mean, a lot of the teams in Florida, the team in the first month is not the team in the second month. And who knows what teams we're going to get in the third month. I mean, this is just one of the more wild. So, I'm not saying you have to do this right now, but how would you rank the Florida teams?
Are we talking overall season or like how they're playing right now, like power rankings?
I guess power rankings.
Miami's got to be number 1 because they've beaten back-to-back ranked teams the last 2 weeks, and they figured it out on offense so they can score and cover up their bad defense. Florida State, I can't say they're number 2. Can I? I don't know. I'm still going to put the Gators there because the Gators have played stiffer competition.
Yeah.
And still kept it there. I mean, because FSU's 3-game win streak was flash in the pan, in my opinion, where you barely beat Syracuse.
Right.
One wins UMass and then North Carolina. So you had one decent, and then a bye week mixed in there. So you had extra time to get some things done. And the bye week plus UMass still didn't equal a Clemson win. Let's keep that in mind too.
Yeah. I mean, but for Florida, like, what's your best win? Tennessee?
Yes.
Is your best win is a 2-point loss to Alabama. That's your best win. Like,
right.
We know we got some. I mean, LSU's a bad loss, but yeah, I mean UCF.
Man, they've lost. I mean, they can't get on the road, and they've had the transition, and you can't even say their best win was Boise State because Boise's not had a good year,
right?
And that was a close game. They beat East Carolina. It's no bueno. They beat. Well, we can just talk about them right now. They beat Temple on Thursday night.
Yeah,
but that wasn't Thursday. Sorry, that was Saturday. I was looking at notes from another time. Yeah, but they nearly shut them out. I mean, Temple I didn't know was that bad. I was like, oh, Temple has 3 wins, but one of them was Division II, like Wagner, and they beat Memphis, who's reeling. Memphis has lost like 4 of the last 5, and I think they beat someone else really bad, like UConn or not like that. So, like, you look at this game and you're like, okay, well, they look better, but they're just, UCF's finally figured out a passing game with their quarterback, and so they just haven't played anybody good.
Yeah.
And you're right, no good wins to speak of. Their schedule just hasn't allowed for them to even play anybody tough.
Right.
Maybe the best team they played was Louisville, and they lost, so...
Cincy.
Oh, yeah, sorry, duh. Yeah. That game, whew. Yuck.
Yeah, and that wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
I mean, kudos to them for beating Temple and by a lot, but I'm still not really impressed.
Right.
But yeah, so the Knights win, and then South Florida, transition to them if you don't mind.
Sure.
Lose on the road to East Carolina.
Yep.
14-29. Yeah. And the game that they were in at halftime, 14-6 at halftime, and then did jack the second. And I mean, you say it all the time. Got to score in the second half.
Yep.
Got to, and they did not. And I mean, just another rough season for the Bulls.
Yeah, East Carolina's still in transition with the Colton Aylers and their coaching staff and coaching turnover. They've been a 4 or 5 win team for several years now. They actually had a pretty decent run in the mid 2010s, but nothing ever came of it. And yeah, they're better than South Florida. South Florida, as my prediction went true, they did win a conference game, which had been a while, but they reverted back. Yeah,
right.
And then watch, somehow they'll come out and they'll play UCF right down to the wire at the end of the season. Right. It's just how that game has been for a while.
I mean, most of the teams in Florida was schizophrenic.
Yeah,
is that the right word? They just, they just 1 week they're something, and the next week they're something else, and
yeah,
everyone's falling into that. I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing or just weird, man.
With Florida State, North Carolina, that makes no sense. They were undefeated coming into Tallahassee last year, number 5 in the nation, and we show up huge. And then we beat them on the road this year. I mean, they've had their struggles, but that was our best game. And you made a comment. You're like, does Florida State play North Carolina next year? Because that's a win. And I was like, no, they rotate off. I'm like, darn it.
Yeah.
Like, where do those games come from? What?
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure. Let's see. Speaking of disappointments, FIU lays a goose egg against Marshall.
Not a great Marshall. I mean, Marshall's a decent team, but my goodness.
Oh, man.
FIU's in for a rough November.
Yeah. 1-7. they did. I mean, they started off good against Western Kentucky and just have done nothing since that. Right, that I'm telling you that right at the beginning of the or at the end of the second quarter against that Western Kentucky game, they just went straight downhill and into this game and continued to do nothing. I mean, Borton Schlager.
Got it.
Yeah, 128 and a pick. I mean, that O-line's just not helping them out, and defense as well. So Panthers fall to 1-7, 0-4 in the conference.
Yeah, they didn't even break 300 yards of offense. That was really, really bad.
Yeah. And then FAU, bright spot there.
Yeah,
holds on to beat UTEP. And they scored to go up 28-10 early in the fourth, and UTEP scores 2 late touchdowns to make it interesting. But they hold on 28-25.
Yeah, I really, when I made this pick, I was like, oh, FAU, no, without a doubt. And I was like, yeah, they're probably going to win by 2 touchdowns. But they probably kind of gave up at the end and thought they had it in the bag, is my guess. But you got to be careful. I've seen teams lose a game like that. So
right.
Watch out, Owls. But yeah, you're right. Victorious over the Miners.
Yep. Okay, so let's put that awful week behind us, shall
please. We? Yes, we shall.
Do you mind?
I do not mind.
All right, so let's go to Florida, South Carolina. The Noles went up to South Carolina. Didn't fare well. Now it's Florida's turn to go up to South Carolina. Different team.
Yep.
Different team. And this is a huge game for the Gators. A huge must-win game for Dan Mullen. Because after coming off a embarrassing loss to your rival in Georgia, going 4-4 in the season, 2-4 in the conference, which is crazy. Florida needs this game. They need this win. And because there's a lot of quote-unquote noise in the system going on in Gainesville right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of fans are unhappy, rightfully so. And you're starting to see it in Mullen, too. He is getting frustrated. I don't know if it's just with the results, with his team, with himself. I think it's starting to get into the reporters and the fans as well. You could just see the press comments after the game. I think he was fine. But it was the Monday presser where you could just see he was agitated. And everybody, the press conference was cut off short. I don't think it was by him. I didn't get the sense that it was cut off by him. But then there was no players weren't allowed to speak. No more media was allowed to ask him more questions. And you just get a sense that he was just tired of the question. And it's just I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's just because he's frustrated this season, or if it's a sign of things to come. If the yarn's getting pulled from that sweater, or if it's nothing. I don't know what to make of it. But what's gonna solve everything, Brandon, or at least a little bit, is if they win.
Get that dub.
If you win against South Carolina. If you win the next 4 games, because the next 4 games you're going to be favored. You're probably going to be heavily favored. You should win, and you probably will win. But they still play the games, so you have to win. You actually have to go out and win the games. So he starts off with South Carolina, a team that they're 4-4 and 1-4 in the conference. Maybe their best victory is a 1-point game victory against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably your best. Maybe beating Troy. Maybe. They're not that good. Beamer's. I like him. They're not there yet. They still have some talent left over from Muschamp, but they're still not there. But I don't know what Florida team is going to come out there. It's on the road. It's at night. The crowd. I mean, it's a good atmosphere there. Florida's favored by 18. Anthony Richardson had the concussion. Still, I mean, to this point in the week where we're recording, he has not practiced yet.
Okay.
So I would think you'd go with Jones. I think that's the safe bet. It's probably what you're going to see is Jones. I think I think he's good. He's still a good quarterback. Still can lead our team. So go with Jones. This. I mean, you have to win this game. You can't even mess around with this game because if you want the noise to quiet, win the game, win convincingly. You want it to continue, have South Carolina stick around, lose to South Carolina, right? So, but win the game, and you know what? It's going to quiet down a little bit. The rumors, the chit chat. Maybe at the end of the season, it might ramp up again. But win this game. I still like our running game. I still like Jones as a quarterback. Our defense, despite how inept our offense looks sometimes, our defense is pretty decent, I would say. I don't have much faith in South Carolina. I think they had a bye week, though. That kind of worries me. While we were getting our rear ends whooped, they were resting. So I really don't know. I think Florida wins. I just don't know the margin. The spread is 18. I think it's going to be closer than that. I say Florida struggles, is sluggish, but pulls away in the second half. I'm going to go Florida 31-20. Maybe a little higher scoring game than it really is, but I look for us to really, I would guess, establish ourselves in the run game. We have some talented backs, talented running quarterbacks. So I think Florida scores 31, maybe. That might be a little higher than it really is, but I'm going to go Florida 31, South Carolina 20.
31-20. Okay. I really have to remind myself just how much struggling South Carolina's done this season when I look at this game, because there's just, you didn't even paint the picture of just how bad they really can be.
Yeah, they are bad.
And yeah, they had to squeak it out to Vanderbilt, and we saw what Florida did to Vandy,
right?
Which was one of your best performances of the season. Maybe if not the Bama game was a good one too, keeping it close. But what could concern would be going on the road, because that's where UF's had the struggles when you're not in the friendly confines of the swamp.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the talent there and everything, even if, and I'm gonna err, my score prediction is gonna show that Florida's trying to figure some things out, got some quarterback flux going on, traveling. I'm gonna take the Gators 27-13, but I still think that this is a pretty dominant performance. I mean, coming out of everything you just mentioned about the press conference, losing, haven't won a game in a while, I really think Florida's going to come out hot in this one. Okay. And I could be wrong. Maybe if anything else, Florida scores maybe 3 to 6 more than that, and it moves up. But I'll take 27-13, and I think Florida gets back on track here, and it really sets. It may be hard to get the flow to start off with.
Yeah,
and that's generally what happens after you play a really difficult and tough team, is you've got to get your bearings right and kind of get your head back on straight. And so maybe that accounts for some of the low scoring, but I do think Florida gets it done.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see if we're sluggish, if we put them away. I mean, we should, on paper, steamroll them. We should have steamrolled LSU. We should have beat Kentucky. I don't know. I don't know where, on paper, we're obviously the better team. I just don't know where we are mentally as a team, and as Dan Mullen. I don't know. I know he's very competitive, so I know he really definitely wants to win. But I'm hoping the distractions aren't getting to him and the team.
Right.
So we will see Saturday though. But does he ever need this game? Because if he loses this game,
oh boy,
he might be gone. He might be gone. Whether it's his choice or someone else's, I think he's gone. So, but if he wins this game, I'm feeling real confident about the next 3.
Sure.
So this is a big swing game for the Gators.
Agreed. I think he's safe both ways, but you're right. It's kind of dicey right now. Let's get back on track, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. You got everything written down for our predictions. Well, I guess we'll move on now. Florida State goes back home, hosting the NC State Wolfpack. Ooh, what a game. What a matchup. NC State having a great season. Haven't played a terribly tough schedule, but it's in the middle somewhere, I'm going to say. NC State is probably on track to compete for the Atlantic Division here, and is going to need this win to keep that success going. Ranked. Have a win over Clemson, obviously, so that helps. They did fall to Miami last week by a point, but they rebounded by beating Louisville. What I think we need to keep in mind about this game going in is NC State's pass game is fantastic. This is what can and probably will do in Florida State if they're not careful. Devin Leary this year, 21 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. They've also they've only committed 3 fumbles this year, if I did my research correctly. They don't turn the ball over. They're very clean about it. Not a lot of penalties. But the key to their success is passing. Amezi, who has been there, it feels like 14 years, as a wide receiver, has had success, and he's their biggest target. So you got to figure out how you're going to stop that guy. How are you going to slow down everything else? You also have to be cautious because your defensive line is very good at pass rushing, but they may use that speed against us and maybe pop some big runs if we're not careful. So we still have to play disciplined at the same time while we're trying to stop the pass. And NC State's had a pretty good run this year. I'm kind of surprised the line in this game is as close as it is. I think you and I were talking about this earlier, because NC State only favored right now at 2.5. And I don't know if that's because they're on the road. I'm not sure if they know something about maybe some player personnel NC State has, or Florida State put some secret in the water again, like before a North Carolina game. I'm not sure what exactly is going on here. So that makes me nervous because I really have a lot of fears with Florida State. I already talked about the defense with Clemson. I don't see any way that gets corrected in 1 week. I think maybe NC State's defense will fall victim to some of those big plays we've had all season, because we are, to our credit, despite our record, a pretty explosive team. And we have a lot of big plays that result in scores.
All right.
Not just, hey, we're going to lay up and get inside and kick a field goal, which is 50-50. No, we actually put them in the end zone. So that's comforting. You can always, turn a game around like that and keep yourself in it if you feel like momentum's starting to go the other way. And so maybe that's what they're seeing here. NC State's going to give us some explosive stuff on defense. But, again, with special teams and Brandon, it's a pretty big part of the game, and that seems to have gotten worse as the season goes on. Yeah, the missed field goals and extra points and stuff start to add up, but the hidden yardage and the lack of discipline and the lack of just coaching and awareness by the players can really start to cost you. So I have a lot of fears here. I really want Florida State to take this game, but the history of this series tells me that for some really weird reason, they've been the thorn in our side, just like Auburn's been to Florida. You play them and you're like, there's so many ways we could and should beat this team, and something tells me we're not going to do that. And more times than not, when those matchups aren't clear one way or the other, Florida State ends up dropping the game. I think that NC State gets the victory here. I'm not going to be surprised if Florida State turns this thing around and shows up in a performance that the defense, maybe they stop some yardage, or maybe they continue to force 2 or 3 turnovers like they have in the last previous weeks. But I'm still going to take NC State to win in a very close game. And since they pass the ball a lot, and I haven't seen a whole lot of proof of concept that they're going to be able to be stopped against Florida State, I'm going to take NC State 30, Florida State 23.
23, okay. I don't know how to pick this game. I really don't. Initially, I wanted to say FSU, just because they're playing better. And I liked what they did against Clemson, but it's not the same Clemson. It's just, I keep trying to remind myself, don't look at the name so much, but actually their team, and it's not the same Clemson. So I don't know how much weight to put into that. And the 3 wins before, I don't know how much weight to put into that too. So even that North Carolina game, that's not. I mean, it's an underwhelming North Carolina team, to say the least.
Yep.
I was surprised a little bit by NC State's loss to Miami, but now that Miami lost beat Pitt, maybe that loss isn't that bad after all.
Right.
Something that sticks out to me, the rushing defense for NC State's only giving up 108. So I'm curious to see how they match up against Florida State's rushing attack, which prior to the Clemson game was pretty good. So can they continue to use the blueprint and contain Travis and make him beat you in the air, which he can every now and then. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I made a good point with the passing game of NC State against Florida State's passing defense. I do like Florida State to make some pop plays here and there because they have talent on the field there. Again, I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I'm curious to see the atmosphere, what it's going to be like. How are Florida State fans going to respond after having some success and then having a heartbreak against your rival Clemson? Yeah. I'm curious to see if the morale is still up, So I am going NC State. I might go a little bit closer. I think a lower scoring game though. I'm going to go NC State 27. Let's say 21.
Okay.
27-21 NC State.
Okay. We both got FSU in the low 20s.
Yeah.
And if your defense doesn't score for you against Clemson, you only score 13 in that one. Mm-hmm. And so your offense just it needs some help. So
yeah.
Okay, we're actually pretty close on that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I really wouldn't be too shocked if Florida State won, though, because, right. In my initial gut response was Florida State. But the more I thought about it, I looked more at NC State, kind of leaning towards them now.
Florida State's proven in the last 2 seasons that they can pull an upset against a good team. Mm-hmm. But you really, in this year, in this ACC weird madness, you have to ask yourself, what exactly constitutes an upset? Mm-hmm. Because if you're looking at North Carolina, they're a 500 team and Florida State's just below 500. Could you count that? Yeah, technically, maybe. And FSU took some sod and buried it in the cemetery, Mm. But this would be a definite upset because NC State's ranked. They're a much better team. Who knows? It's just hard to say. And you just don't know which game it's going to be that they would pull said upset. And
right.
You love it to be every week, but then you're like, okay, well, they have a losing record, so I'm going to stop guessing on that. Yeah. Just let it happen. So, okay. Fair analysis. I like it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's quickly run through the rest of the teams.
Yes.
Miami, Georgia Tech at Miami. The way they're playing, you got to go Miami, right?
Yes. Georgia Tech's given them some trouble in the years, but I think the play by Van Dyke continues to make the Canes feel comfortable, and Va Tech just beat Georgia Tech, so they're coming off of a loss. I think Miami wins.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, and then let's see, Tulane at UCF. Tulane 1-4.
1-7.
UCF Knights big.
Yeah, UCF will not struggle in this game on homecoming. And Tulane's actually 1-7. Just to
1-7, yeah.
It's ugly. Tulane has not had any good wins. They have not had any good presence, and they've not had success in several years. So UCF wins easy.
Mm-hmm. Then let's see, Houston at USF. Everything says Houston. The line is actually only 13. I think it should be more, but who knows? South Florida. This would be the perfect game for them to beat South Florida and surprise everybody. But I'm still gonna go Houston.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cougars as well. The Cougars just gave SMU their first loss of the year. Playing extremely well. They still have a chance at the American Conference title game. So, Cougars easy.
Okay. And then Marshall at FAU. FAU winning 2 in a row, but Marshall has won 3 in a row. So it's at FAU. I'm going to give them a slight lean in a close one, FAU.
I'm going to take Marshall here. I feel like this is kind of a coin flippy game because they're both pretty equally talented, both same record. And if you care to watch it, it'll be on Facebook.
Okay. It's a prime time matchup on Facebook.
Huge one. 6 p.m. Facebook Live. Okay.
And then speaking of a huge one, I mean, this is going to be a great pillow fight. Old Dominion at FIU. I have no clue where to go, but I have even less faith in FIU, so I'm going Old Dominion.
Yeah, combined 3 wins between these two teams so far. Not looking very great. Old Dominion, having a pretty decent program presence in this conference. I'm going to take Old Dominion as well.
Yeah.
FIU needs to win it, to be honest, but I don't think they will.
No. Real quick, I just popped up. Tickets for this game are as low as pick a number. What do you think? I'll tell you. I think earlier this year was it UConn and somebody?
UConn, you played UMass.
Yeah, the tickets were as low as $1.
Oh my lord!
For that game.
Does this one hit single digits? I was gonna guess like $12.
You going 12?
12. I'll go 12. Yeah.
According to what is this? Vivid Seats. Yeah, $5.
You get it for $5.
$5. It's a high school football game.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's the point we've reached here. Well, I'm gonna renege on my comment earlier that Butch Davis may stick around for the season. He may not.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, this is getting really bad. Once you start touching the pocketbooks, that's a little sensitive. $5. Okay, well.
Yeah. I kind of want to go to the game now. I can't. But I kind of want to go.
I mean, it will be competitive. They're both equally struggling. So.
All right, so that is that. Real quick before we wrap it up, I do want to give you an update on where we are with our picks.
Please.
I think last week you were up by, I think, said 2 games. 2. Yeah. But I do have a tally. Right now, your record is 41-12. So good on you, because I am 38-15. So I am 3 games behind you.
Okay.
Yes, I was catching up to you, but then I slipped last week. FSU, there's the ones. I blame you guys.
Nah, well, it was tempting. I almost picked us to win against Clemson. But so a few things just didn't go our way, and so you could have very easily been the guy saying, "Hey, I told you so."
All right. I almost was.
Almost.
I almost was. All right. Well, that is it. Looking forward to hopefully a victory for the Gators. Done with last week because that was awful.
Yeah. Ready to move on. Understood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Chris, how can the fans reach out to us for their feedback on the games?
Go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com.
Yes. And Patreon.com/FloridaFocusPodcast. You can contribute to the show as little as $1 a month. Jared and Tyler, thank you again for your continued support. And insert your name here if you would like to join us as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think I'm mentally drained from this one, but any final thoughts before we finally end the night for us?
No, that is it. I'm just ready for this coming week. Just ready.
Yeah. Let's get it on. All right, man. Well, this is a Brandon saying, go Noles.
This is Chris. Go Gators.